Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Energy Data Jam at New York Energy Week. My name is Eric Davis, and I'm the research manager at EnerKnol, the tech startup behind New York Energy Week. I want to personally thank you on behalf of the EnerKnol team for joining us today, as I know you're all very busy. It is the middle of the afternoon, but your being part of this really makes a difference. So for those of you on Twitter, please join the conversation using the NYEW hashtag, and also download the mobile app for New York Energy Week to get more information on events, speakers, and attendees. For those of you we haven't met yet, EnerKnol is an energy policy research and data company. We provide expertise on energy policy and we provide data to clients. Please get an introduction to the rest of our team and our software and our research up at the table at the top of the stairs. We launched New York Energy Week last year to bring together the energy sector. It's traditionally pretty siloed. So we brought together more than 2,000 participants last year, and this year we look to more than double that across 12 official events and 20 affiliate events throughout the city. Before I hand it over to my colleague Erin Carson for a brief policy backdrop, I'd like to thank our founding partner NYSERDA, our brand partner, the Energy Agency, and this year's Terawatt sponsors, Breitling Energy and Con Edison. Also, my fellow steering committee members, Christine Stern, Shoko Segura, Jonathan Roberts, and many others. And of course, our board of directors. I saw Peter Gardette around somewhere and a few others. And also, finally, to our event host, Google, being the space for the third year running, I believe. And their leadership in the energy data space is really testament to having this event and having you all here with us today. And with that, I'd like to introduce Erin Carson, a senior policy analyst at EnerKnol, for a brief policy backdrop. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. It's great to see how many people are here, and just the enthusiasm of the room, I think, really speaks to the amount of energy and what we're going to accomplish here today. I was lucky enough to be a part of this last year, and the Data Jam really is, I think, one of the most fun events that we do all week here at New York Energy Week. So I'm just going to provide a few words about a policy backdrop, the policy, where we've been, what we're doing here today, and what we can anticipate as a framework moving forward. As many of us heard at this year's Datapalooza in Washington, D.C. that was held last month, now really is a prime time for big data and energy. We're on the cusp of what appears to be a big data boom in the energy sector, with opportunities that are emerging for utilities, transmission operators, consumers, and other stakeholders to capture and use vast stores of information. We've heard pretty much at every single New York Energy Week event so far about some aspect of how big data and access to data is impacting sectors of the energy industry, from market commodities to oil and gas and electric drive vehicles and advanced transportation this morning, and how access to that big data is constantly improving and evolving in both scope and quality. The technological advances that we've seen to wireless streaming, sensors, and other power electronics have really driven down the cost of creating and managing information to just a fraction of what it was 5 or 10 years ago. And that's really been creating a number of inroads for entirely new energy applications. And just as of a few days ago, here's a sample to get our creative juices thinking about what's been highlighted on data.gov. An initiative called Clean Power Finance to use DOE solar data to connect manufacturers with investors and help increase market access to residential solar. The Simple Energy app aims to combine DOE electricity data with U.S. Census data to allow users to compare their energy consumption with their neighbor's energy consumption. A DOE Bioenergy Atlas application that allows people to analyze different scenarios for where they might be able to install biofuel facilities. And then, of course, the Green Button Initiative, which resulted from questions posed at an Energy Data Jam very similar to this one, and which now, with the creation of its official app, has enabled over 36 million customers to download their energy consumption data from nearly 35 utilities and electricity suppliers. So a lot has been accomplished, and a lot still remains to be done, which is the good news, with new opportunities that are continually emerging pretty much every day. For example, earlier this month, the Obama administration released its Climate Action Plan, and within that plan, the administration rolled out its new Climate Data Initiative. And this will aim to use public federal data to address climate-related risks and vulnerabilities by asking very similar questions to the questions that we're asking here today, and using those appropriate data sets to do so. In conjunction, federal agencies have continued to roll out new open data sets, including, and again, this is new as of the last couple of days, a new release of infrastructure and geographic map data for climate preparedness, new APIs from the Energy Information Administration that allow developers access to data on electricity, petroleum, and natural gas, and data sets from the Census Bureau on a variety of different manufacturing statistics, including energy consumption and shipping, plant capacity, and exports. So what is the policy framework for all this data? And how will it affect efforts like what we're doing here today? Well, the Office of Science and Technology Policy is actually asking those very same questions. They issued an RFP just a few months ago asking for industry input on policies that could measurably improve outcomes on big data productivity. And the RFP has since closed, but you can go to the Federal Register or you can access EnerKnol's research application and look for yourself on what initiatives are coming out of that RFP. But in particular, as more and more data becomes available through new sensors and wireless communication with what we call the Internet of Things, policymakers will also continue to have to address uncharted questions on the relationships between big data and personal privacy. In this past May, the Executive Office of the President issued a report that addressed this very issue after a 90-day research effort that looked at the combination of big data, government, marketplace, and privacy. And the report states, and here I'll quote, that Americans' relationships with data should expand, not diminish, their opportunities and potential. Moving forward, big data innovations and applications will be pressed to ensure that the digital revolution works to both empower social good and protect fundamental values like privacy, fairness, and self-determination. So what does this mean in policy nuts and bolts? Well, for one thing, according to a recent report from the Government Accountability Office, there is currently no overarching federal privacy law that governs the collection and sale of personal information among private sector companies. And moving forward, views differ about what the next best step is, whether any privacy legislation or regulation on big data should be a one-size-fits-all, or whether that would be too cumbersome. But the good news is the government's asking for industry to weigh in, and industry should. Either way, the process is going to take time and iterations to get into place. So, with that framework in mind, the bottom line for us here today can also be summed up from a line from the White House initiative. And it states, open data is fuel for innovators. So we look forward today to exploring big data management with this room full of innovators and thought leaders from all sectors of the energy industry, to find ways to convert database information into new innovations, technologies, and solutions that can help make our country more energy efficient. So now, before we begin, I'd like to introduce Bob Wyman, the technical staff member at Google. Bob, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I just want to welcome you all here to the building and say that I think we're really happy and excited to be doing this for the third year now. We actually got started before New York Energy Week, but it's been wonderful to associate with them for the last 2 years and hopefully in future years as well. Obviously, you know, this company is one that cares a tremendous amount about data. We have some facility at it, and we really hope that as you guys think about data, that you'll even think about using some of our tools to help you move forward with that. Let me first say just some mechanical things about the space. The ladies' room is back there. Through those doors, the men's room through the door you came into. If you want a Wi-Fi access, that would be Google Guest is the SSID that you want to connect to. But let me just say one more thing, and that is about sort of the subject that we're talking about today. Today, riding in on the subway, I was reading some blogs and ran across two big data stories. The first was sort of what I think we traditionally think about in terms of energy data or climate data, and that is that the Japanese announced that their studies indicate that this spring is the warmest spring that they have had in the history of recording climate data in Japan. Obviously, that has tremendous implications for their energy business moving forward. But the important thing about data is that if we didn't have that data, we really wouldn't be able to be managing either what we do with the climate or what we do with the energy system. Essentially, if you don't have data, you can't manage the problems. But a much more innovative story, one that I think made me think of sort of the original charge that the White House gave to us in getting this group going, was to try to seek innovative uses of energy data. And I found a fascinating example in a story about Germany and a new idea that the Germans have a new style of tourism, and it's an odd form of eco-tourism. Now, let me just say, as a kid, I grew up for many years in Germany, so you have to understand Germans can be a little different in the way they view the subjects. But apparently what has become a really exciting way for people to spend weekends and even vacations in Germany is going around the country, essentially spotting windmills and photovoltaic panels on people's roofs. Essentially, it's renewable energy tourism, if such a thing can make sense. And the story was about a company that has published a guide to renewable energy sites in Germany and has become quite successful at it, essentially taking energy data in, I think, a very innovative way and moving forward. They also gave a story of some town outside Berlin that has a tremendous amount of renewable energy, a little village, and apparently they now have hordes of Japanese that come through on buses on a regular basis to look at the panels on their roofs. And that's essentially something which is enabled by somebody taking an innovative look at energy data, not necessarily to run a power plant or to figure out how to manage a grid or whatever, but finding yet another way to use the information which is provided by the government and by others to help us move forward in understanding how energy works. And I'm hoping that, as we have in last year's, that this year we'll have that kind of innovation, that kind of fresh thinking about how we can use energy in the future come out of these discussions. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bob, for that fascinating account of data sets in Germany. Hopefully some of the entrepreneurs here in the room can come up with an equally innovative business idea. I'm Sarah Backhouse. I'm delighted to serve as your MC again this year. I was here last year for New York Energy Week. I am the founder and CEO of Future 360, which is an online video network. We create content around sustainability, clean technology, clean energy, both editorially and as a media services company. And we're delighted to be media sponsors of New York Energy Week. You might have seen us covering some of the previous events here this week. And I must say I'm thrilled to be here in the great, great city of New York to see all these incredible entrepreneurs, innovators, disparate stakeholders in marvelous venues like here at Google. And very excited to be part of it, and really want to congratulate the organizers for bringing everyone together. So that said, we are here today at the Data Jam, and for those who want a little bit more background about what it is, I thought I'd give you some basics here. It was launched by the Obama administration in 2012. The Energy Data Initiative aims to help Americans shrink their energy costs, improve environment, and create jobs. And to facilitate this, the White House and the Department of Energy have hosted and sponsored a series of data jams to brainstorm how freely available data sets might be used for clean energy entrepreneurs for new products, services, and apps. So today we welcome all of you, some of America's most innovative entrepreneurs, software developers, CEOs, experts, and policymakers to take advantage of these existing and newly available government, state, and city data sets and to spark new ideas that will drive innovation. So you are seated on a number of different tables with different themes. I thought I'd give you the rundown of the different areas we'll be looking at today. There are 6 main categories: energy efficiency, power and utilities, commodities, renewables and energy storage, transportation, and broad New York City data. So, for example, we have home energy use data from the Green Button Initiative. That's from the National Solar Radiation Data from NREL. That looks at various commercial building data, fossil fuel production, consumption, and price data, along with many other data sets. So for the next hour, you'll be working with your groups to put your heads together and come up with amazing new ideas for use of this data, including a creative name. So we'll be doing a little branding exercise and coming up with a great business name. So please record your discussions on the provided tear-out sheets you'll see at the head of your tables. You will have 1 hour to facilitate brainstorming and then do a brief presentation. So you'll be deciding who in your group would like to present. We'll come back in an hour and everyone will get a chance to present, and then we will vote on who we think has the best idea. And at the very end of the awards show, we will be picking a winner and celebrating their victory. Now, for those of you who are joining us on live stream, we will resume back here in an hour, so please rejoin us for the group presentations. And other than that, just to say welcome, I look forward to the brainstorming and hearing the ideas in an hour's time. Thank you very much.
So, adding storage factor is certainly and shape intent.
So it could go into everything, but it has a meter. It doesn't need to be a Con Ed meter, but it could all be behind the meter. But this could all be, so Con Ed could not really be involved as long as it's not producing enough power to go back out into the grid.
Who is a stakeholder there actually? The utility company, the public sector, who is actually like the governor of the state that would like actually to go in public and say, no, now we need less? Or is it actually the grid operator, because they get most of the complaints the moment something goes boom and I don't have light at home?
It's not either or.
In New York, when something goes down, Con Ed gets blamed all the time. Nobody's smart enough to blame the New York ISO.
Everyone else is only going to have their beta release ready. No big deal.
At the end, we should say, and it's ready today.
We'll just put in like white is the potential pool of buildings that you can go for. White is just default, like all the buildings are white by default.
Brainstorming is officially over. Please take your seats and allocate your speaker. We will now be going around the room, beginning with table 1 and going through to table 10 to hear the ideas. Now, timing is key on this. We've got 10 tables and less than 50 minutes. So please keep your presentations to 5 minutes or less. We'll actually have a timer. If it gets too long, we'll pull out the virtual book. So let's just kick it off with table number 1, please. Please present your idea. There are microphones here. I think Eric's going to help hand these out.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Felix. We're at table 1. I work with EnerKnol. We're an energy monitoring company. So we'll talk about what we're doing here. So our company is called Utility. Utility. Now our focus is energy efficiency. And one of the first things we're thinking about is that, okay, there's all these energy rebate programs, all these kind of things the utilities are offering us to say, save money, save energy. Here, just do it. We'll pay you. And a lot of times people don't know, they don't take advantage of these things. And one of the biggest things is demand response. Now, can we basically tell a lot of building owners, commercial, industrial, whatever, and say, look, there's money being left on the table. If you only take advantage of this, you can basically improve your bottom line. So, because to tell the truth, let's put it this way, Con Ed, everyone has a relationship with Con Ed who's from New York. Do you necessarily want to enhance that relationship? You're probably trying to keep that at a minimum. They have a branding issue. They have an image issue. What we'll do through utility is basically help connect the dots. We will use building information that's out there, for instance, local 84 databases that will give us information across buildings in New York and other locations that help us understand what's your peak usage. All right, now we know your peak usage. Now can we go back and use another database that gives us information about rebate programs, about DR incentive programs, and quantify on a personalized basis how much could you save or basically earn if you signed up? And can we help you do that? So that's a push campaign. So first things first, we need to build our relationship. We can do a push campaign, get the word out there saying, okay, you should sign up. You could be making $10, $20, $30, $100,000 just by signing up, leveraging this information. Now, in terms of an application, now we can start making it more interesting. You can come to our website and you can basically give information about where are you. And we can take that, visualize it through geocoding, via map, other big data sources, so you can see where are you in the bigger context of things.
How are your neighbors doing? So hey, my building could be saving $50,000 a year. Well, all my neighbors are doing it. Why not me? Again, we'll throw in behavioral because that's fun, right? And once I get you signed with a DR program, and hopefully get a little something for ourselves, visualize that, show you what you could be doing. Well, by the way, there's tons of other incentive programs out there, tons of other rebate programs. Basically, money for just doing whatever the utility says to do, for using less power or whatnot. You don't have to do a thing. Just sit back, let the utility pay you. So we'll help you understand that, create transparency, save you money. And the great part is we don't need to create more peaker plants. We don't need to build more energy plants. Solar is great, but look, if you use less power, then we all win. It's more sustainable, and you get paid doing it. So that's utility. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, utility. And that was a good short pitch at 3 minutes or less. And actually, we're going to downgrade the pitch length to about 4 minutes to get everyone in time. So nice start. Table number 2, please.
All right, so my story is I lived in a very, very drafty old apartment on Beacon Hill, and I paid $1,100 a month in December, January, and February of 1 year because it was so drafty. If I had known this before I moved into the unit, I never would have lived there. So what does Rentocracy do? We essentially are designed to fix this misalignment of incentives, where right now renters pay for their electricity and water, and the owners of a unit really have no incentive to do anything about it because they're not paying the bill. Our website will empower renters to take control of their energy and water costs by publicly reviewing their individual unit. It will be the UI will be overlaid with the green button data. So when you go in, you prove that you live there, you release your green button data, and it will auto-populate with how much your monthly energy bill is. So that if somebody is looking at your unit down the road and you're moving out, you can actually see what the energy and water use is. Down the road, we think that this app can also review air quality in a specific unit, if it's noisy, if your neighbors have a newborn, or you live over a restaurant and it smells, your ease of access to public transportation. And our ultimate goal is to change the behavior of landlords. So at Rentocracy, we'll be aggregating data at the same time, and we'll be able to take this aggregated data and go to landlords who own multiple units and say, hey, you're getting blown up on this website here. You should do something about it. Here are a bunch of coupons to go to Home Depot, buy some energy efficiency air conditioners, or here's a connection to a bunch of service providers who can help make your home more energy efficient by changing the insulation. And we think that we can really have a significant impact. So that is Rentocracy, and our thing is right here, awaiting your stickers.
Okay. My name is Jim Hamsky, here at the Power and Utilities table. We didn't quite come up with a fully fledged business plan or startup. What we have is a gimme for our hosts here at Google and a proposal to add 2 new layers to Google Maps. Sure, everyone's used Google Maps. You know that you can show things like traffic, transit infrastructure as a layer. Well, we want them to have 2 new layers, one of which is called Grid, and this is going to show high load balances and areas where the electric grid is under stress. We would use some of the APIs that are given in the packet to calculate that layer in real time, just like they have with traffic. The next layer, infrastructure, it kind of goes off the anecdote about people in Germany actually going out and being tourists and spotting different renewable infrastructure, solar plants, etc. So here you can see New York City. I hope I got all 5 boroughs in there. And in addition to some of these red high load pockets, we have some infrastructure that you can go out and C. Now we got to watch and make sure we don't have too much about our critical energy infrastructure. But we do have 2 solar plants here in Brooklyn. We've got some combined heat and power facility here in Queens. And here in the Lower East Side, there is a smart grid, microgrid pilot project. So it's a bit of a combination of the topics that we've gone through here today.
Thank you very much. Table 5.
Our visual was last minute. We were busy perfecting our business plan. So our idea is called the E-Compass, and our initial target market is for small to medium-sized business owners. These are busy people with a lot on their mind, especially their bottom line. And from our experience at our commodities table, some of us with utilities and some of us involved in the other commodities sector, we see that often small business owners are too busy to sign up for incentive programs, and they're so focused on the day-to-day that they really need a quick snapshot, or else they're not going to be engaged at all in the energy market, and they might be the ones that can benefit the most from saving dollars and cents every month on their energy bill. So the idea behind E-Compass is twofold. The first layer is basically a daily weather report, but it's a daily energy report. So without even a login, just when you go to the eCompass site, you can see an energy outlook for the day based on congestion and prices. But to the consumer, this would be as interactive as an Amber Alert for pollution or the smiley face that you see on a home energy report. So the consumer would not see all the layers of the congestion information and the commodities information behind this. They would just see a simple number rating on a scale of 1 to 10, showing whether this would be a good day or a not good day to do major energy consumption at their facility, or whether this would be a day where they would waste money. The second layer of this, which gets into the compass aspect, besides just seeing where you stand in the world and your orientation, you can also have this as a tool if you're planning to expand or relocate your small business, and we would overlay information showing prices for the commodity, your options. I am from a utility, but there are options for your energy provider, and the available energy efficiency and distributed generation incentives for that area, so that when you're looking at a map of New York and deciding where your small business fits in, you can overlay pricing information and commodity information along with available incentive programs or renewable energy credits, so you can make an informed decision about where to locate your your small business before you're up and operational.
Thank you, eCompass. Next idea, next company. Okay.
Hi, I'm John Joshi. I'm with Plant. Our efforts are focused toward looking at risk transfer on solar projects, and our company is called Google Micromonoline. One of the things from a capital markets perspective is that how do you transfer risk through a broad network of investors, right? And the challenge is how do you bring in more capital into the sector, right? Currently, only 2 transactions have been done in the industry as a securitized structure. And the challenge there has been that the industry looks at, or the capital markets area looks at risk in a different way than what is true risk in the market for, let's say, residential solar. So what we propose is a peer-to-peer micro monoline modeled after, similar to like a Mosaic, right, which did peer-to-peer investment into transactions. So this entity, and we're actually waiting for some bids from Facebook too on this, but this entity would support micro bonds where individuals who have appetite for a certain amount of risk in their community or on a national basis would take in, let's say $100 worth of risk you want to take. And that risk then would ensure the subordinate piece of a micro bond that is offered out into the market, which consists of a pool of solar projects. This is And it could be very directly applicable to some of the ideas where if you look at New York State, there's 3 million households that have an affordability gap in terms of the energy affordability gap. They're running a negative on how much it costs them to use energy and what their income allows, right? But if you go to banks and you go to solar companies, they will not underwrite those folks because a lot of the folks fall under the 640 FICO where a Title I loan would come into it. Or a 680 FICO if you're a Sunrun or Solar City that would give you a solar, right? But by creating these pools of microbonds where individual peer-to-peer folks can then contribute to do a reinsurance on the bottom part of the structure, that gives the senior investors confidence that somebody is taking that first loss risk. Nobody else is willing to take that risk. But it's spread out over a community, over thousands of people. And subsequently, if you look at the peer-to-peer model, like Lending Club and all those, the institutional market has also moved into those areas, so they will take that micro risk. And so the idea is that will support broader access of capital coming into it. Folks can choose which communities and which states or which programs they want to look at a portfolio, reinsure that portfolio up to a risk tolerance. Maybe they contribute $25 or $50. They will get a fee, a small fee, rather than, so the senior bond could be done at a 3% coupon, but the junior, normally if you structured it, would have to pay 5, 6, 7% coupon. That's a drag on the cost of capital in this structure. But if you did a monoline micro fee, you might just get a small reinsurance fee, and then once the senior is paid off, you get a portion of paid out to you as a residual down the road. So our basic model is micro reinsurance on a peer-to-peer model. We've discussed these ideas with the broad base of clients, including Clinton Global Initiative and Facebook, and I think Google should support this.
And the name of the company one more time?
Google Micro Monoline.
Google Micro Monoline. Thank you very much. Excellent.
We are called Green Alert, and thank you, Google, for having us today. I'm Simon Sylvester. This is David Guilford.
Hi.
Next slide.
So I think all of you have gotten Amber Alerts on your phone, various updates related to transit disruptions and so forth. But there's a simple action that most of us could take that we don't take on a day like today, where during the very hottest hours of the year, the grid is under a lot of stress. We're burning the most expensive fuel, the dirtiest fuel, and taking action on an individual level can save both money and also reduce pollution.
Next slide. So the idea, a timely, easy, and actionable community approach that notifies electricity users like you when to turn the switch off or flip the switch. Next slide.
So what we're doing is taking some fairly simple data sources and combining them. So of course, weather data. We know that today is one of the hottest days of the year so far. And we're using real-time NYSO data from the New York Independent System Operator to look at power prices. And when the prices in New York City get above a certain amount and the weather is forecasted to be hot, we send alerts through whatever channels are available. So one of the key features here is this doesn't matter if you can't afford a computer, you don't have internet access. This can go through SMS. It can go through an app, a push notification on an app. And along with the alert, there's a very simple action you can take that's tailored to the time of day and where you are, such as turn off the lights in your conference room and use daylights. Turn on your fan and turn off your air conditioner for a few minutes. And this is really this is meant to be a social aspect, so have a social aspect. So you can reply with a photo of yourself taking that action, for example, share on Twitter or Facebook, and get other people to know that there is this opportunity.
Next slide. So we have a couple examples. So you would receive a text like the top one for today. So this is a green alert. Help New York City and turn your AC off from 2 to 4 p.m. for rewards from your utility today. So this could be linked with a utility company where they could give you credits for being actionable and doing good. And for example, our Twitter account, Green Alert, you can find us at green_alert today. It's 89 degrees in New York City and our power grid is straining. Turn on a fan instead of your AC. Follow us and let us save energy together. # New York Energy Week. Next slide. And then this is what you do when you are actionable. So I just use Green Alert. What have you done for your city today? Save some money, reduce pollution, and got utility rewards. Next slide.
As I mentioned, we're taking a few different data sets together here, but it's really looking at, just first set a baseline, looking at, we have historical energy data, so we can see what were the, what were the peak days last year. But of course, things change. The weather is certainly unpredictable. So we're combining that with both the data from the independent system operator as well as temperature data to determine when to send those alerts out to people in a particular geographic region.
All right, last slide. Oh no, 2 more slides. So benefits, energy consumers. I mean, show of hands, who always gets their energy bill in July and August and wishes it was lower? Only one person? And you can get credits from the utility companies for rewards like I spoke about before. And this also benefits the utilities. It puts less strain on the grid during peak demand and also prevents blackouts, which I think we all know has been a problem here in New York City. Last slide.
So we're Green Alert. You can already follow us on Twitter. We sent out our first alert about 10 minutes ago. And with Green Alert, we're saving energy in real time together. Thanks.
Thank you.
You get the award for fastest turnaround of a Twitter account. And table 9, please. Company name.
Hey, everybody. We are Ride Guide. I'm Merrick Tien from Azure View Consulting. And a problem that a lot of folks face in New York is traffic, not just car traffic, but just city traffic moving way too slow. You got to get from point A to point B. You have to figure out how to get there. Am I going to walk? Am I taking a bus, taking the train? Am I taking a cab? Our solution is grab our app and go. We will help you figure that out. All travel has externalities for the system and for the self. We're calling that total travel investment. That includes things like time spent in transit, time spent looking for parking, time spent circling around, getting in and out of facilities, dollar cost of parking, fares, fuel that's burnt while you're doing all of this, and stress. You've got to deal with being in traffic, sitting, driving, or waiting on a train station. And there are ways to quantify all of this and give you a total travel cost, total travel investment for each possible route. So think of this app as Google Maps meets OpenTable meets Hipmunk, right? What is your agony? What is your total cost of getting from point A to point B? And what are your alternatives? And based on what you're willing to pay, you'll pick the solution that's right for you. Data that we are going to use is traffic and congestion data that's, I believe, open from the city. Parking meters to show average time and turnaround between new people parking, so how long before a spot becomes available. And data for turnstiles and buses. What's the current load or the historic load on a particular bus line or subway line during this time of day, during this season. We can recommend you alternatives. Go ahead and drive. Use reserved parking. Call a cab or Uber or other car sharing service. What's the best time of day to travel? Maybe you want to leave a few hours earlier or later. And maybe we can incent you for mass transit. Maybe you get a little bit of a discount, or you can buy a Groupon at a discount for using the trains or buses at certain sort of peak times. And the app will be self-supporting by taking a commission on any sort of referred forms of travel. So that is Ride Guide. It helps you figure out your total investment, total cost, time, money, and hassle to get from point A to point B, presents you some alternatives, and if you book an alternative right from the app through to one of the sources, they would get a payback from that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. And last but not least, table number 10, my old team that I abandoned halfway. Sorry about that.
So we decided to take on the team who already have a Twitter account by having an actual demo of what our app would be, fully laid out. We've done a lot of UI design, as you can see. So we are Cool NYC. And really this was tackling the problem that at the moment there are many energy efficiency or energy production methods that are economically viable, but people just don't know that they've become economically viable. So it's an education problem as much as anything else. And so in this case, we were going to take all of New York City, take all the buildings, and analyze whether they were viable for solar panels, so solar roofs, green roofs, or white roofs. So these are 3 different things you can do to your roof which help energy efficiency or energy generation. And these aren't always going to be the best solution for a particular building. So we can do a map of the whole city and figure out for which building is this thing the best benefit. But we're giving people the option. So you would click on your building, and what comes up is you get the cost and the cost for that implementation, and also the savings we expect you to get from doing that to your building. So in this case, we have a place up in the Bronx, up in Mott's Haven, where the person's clicked on their link and they said that in this case, solar looks like the best, most viable option. It's top of the list. Then we have the cost savings for green roofs and for white roofs. And then you can pick one of those things, and that choice is then passed on to vendors who will be able to provide that solution for you. Next slide. So here's the implementation. When you go to your particular building, this is a standard New York City house at the top there, as I'm sure you can understand. White, green, and solar are 3 options. And then we're going to use census data, energy consumption data that's out there already, and existing efficiency data to predict for that particular building, and also for your particular demographic and for your neighborhood, what the best solution is likely to be for you. But we allow people the option to look at all 3 of those things to make that decision themselves. Once you've got that information, once you've understood what the likely costs and benefits are going to be, then pass that on to a vendor or identify, pass that on to the vendor to get that lead into the vendor's hands. Next slide. So we actually want to motivate users to really act on this information. This is both landlords and also people who own their own houses or are renters in a building, because as we've already heard from lots of other people, as a renter, you're very disenfranchised at the moment. You don't really have the information to help put pressure on your landlords for energy efficiency, but you're the one that gets hurt by the energy efficiency problems, not your landlord. So you can take to your landlord, rather than just saying, like, my building's really inefficient, that's not very helpful. What you want to be able to say is, our building is way more inefficient than our next door neighbor. Right? Then you've actually got some ammunition. Then you can go to your landlord and say, you actually have a clear argument that you should go and take this forward. Are you better than a city government building? David Gifford here knows a lot about the efficiency of city buildings, but it's great if you can say that you're actually doing better than the city at this. Is your building eligible for incentives? Particularly with energy efficiency, Con Ed, as we heard already, has a very high incentive to help people bring down peak load. And so there are a number of different incentives from a number of different places, both city and government, to help with energy efficiency for the building you're in. But people don't know that. And particularly people who might not be that energy literate, so they might not know about the available options that are out there for them to use. So this helps both help people get an idea of what the cost would be, but also what some of the benefits and what the available subsidies are going to be for those buildings. And then in the end, they've made their choice. We've got an estimate of the subsidies that might be available for that building, and that can then get taken onto the companies who want to sell you this stuff already. So it's really cutting down that route between the customer and the business. This is really a C2B solution that we're producing here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that concludes our 10 presentations. I think you can give you all of yourselves a big round of applause for an excellent effort. Congratulations all. Oh, okay, a little announcement here. We found a phone in the bathroom. If anyone has lost his, hi, it'll be up here in just a moment. Thank you. So now we're going to take 10 minutes for voting. This is a very high-tech process where we stick a little green sticker onto the presentation that we like the best. It's another way to kind of review the companies and see which one captured your imagination the most as a viable business. So I think they've been distributed already, the little green stickers. Please go ahead and do that, and then we will come back in 10 minutes for the winners. Thank you. Hello everyone, can I please get you to take your seats for the big unveiling of the winner of Energy Data Jam? Thank you all. Please take your seats. We will be shortly announcing the winners. So before we announce the second and third runner-up and the winner of the Energy Data Jam, I'd like to thank you all again for your great contribution in coming up with some really innovative ideas and working collaboratively. And now the big moment. So there was actually a tie for third place, and that was shared by Ride Guide and Google Micro Monoline. So congratulations. And those companies both got 7 votes apiece. For second place, with 17 votes, this went to Green Alert. Congratulations, guys. Great Twitter handle and deck. And finally, the winner of the 2014 Google Energy Data Jam is Rentocracy with 22 votes. Please come up to stage and say a few words. The whole team's coming up. Hello. To share a few words.
We all just met each other an hour ago, but this is an idea I've been sitting on for about a year and a half since I actually did live in that apartment at 8.5 Joy Street. I'm calling you out right now, landlords, with that exact address. And I just wanted to thank everybody on the team for being so open-minded and brainstorming and being fun, and we're going to see where we can actually go with this. So we are raising a seed round. My name is Sandy Kreis, at Sandy Kreis on Twitter, and at Rentocracy. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so
Anybody
much.
else want to say anything?
We spent 45 minutes yelling at each other and 15 minutes coming up with an idea. So teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes today's formalities. I'm going to turn it back to Eric. Thank you so much for allowing me to MC this event. It was great fun, and we'll see you again next year. Thank you.
On just behalf of the entire EnerKnol and New York Energy Week team, I just want to thank you for taking the time this afternoon with us and creating these great ideas. We'll stay in touch certainly and support you guys in creation of these apps, whether you want or not. So in the spirit of New York Energy Week, please share your contact information with your fellow group mates and others. And we wish you a good afternoon. Thank you again.
Videographer.